Hey hotties, are you looking to grow your business and get real-time support from fellow designers?
Become a loyal hottie by joining our Patreon community. Your subscription to our loyal hottie tier on Patreon gives you exclusive episodes like process parties, live workshops, and our unedited and unfiltered conversations for just $10 per month.
Your support means the world to us and helps us continue to create the content you love. Plus, by joining our Patreon, you'll become a part of our inner circle and have the opportunity to connect with us on a more personal level.
So learn more and subscribe at patreon.com/HYDC.
Welcome to the Hot Young Designers Club podcast.
I'm Rebecca Plum, your big sister.
And I'm Sean Surha, your GBF.
We're not that hot or that young,
but we believe it's a state of mind that helps us build adaptable and profitable businesses.
We rely on the support of our design besties to get through each day.
So let's explore the emotional, practical, and humorous sides of being interior designers.
Welcome to the club. Hey, Sean.
What's up, Rebecca?
It's November.
It's turkey season, y'all.
I'm having a little bit of internal struggle with that, but
y'all, it's almost Valentine's Day.
Dang it, it's summer. I mean, I love that we're doing these monthly resources, but also like it's giving me this like metronome effect of like
acute awareness of where you are in space and time.
Yeah. And slightly ahead, which is even more stressful. That's okay. Reality's good.
We all don't live in the multiverse of madness all the time, but it can feel like that where it all comes at once. And so if you're like us, where you're now listening as a hottie and you're like, oh, holy shit, it's the end of the year. Like, yes, it is. It did sneak up on us. Yes, it's here.
We're here.
And the question is more, okay, but what are you gonna do about it?
Well, you have a couple options. You could kind of just like hold on to that oh shit handle on the side of your window and white knuckle it through the end. Or you could buckle up, know where your destination is, and enjoy your trip.
Enjoy your Indiana Jones adventure.
With the seatbelt on, yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we've talked about this, I think, a lot, but maybe not a lot. I love myself a retreat. It's half
escapism.
Get the hell out of my house. But
away from your family.
Yeah. And also I have a compartmentalized mindset when it comes to things like this. Like,
right.
I can't just plan within the flow of like emails and life and blah, 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 the day to day. Like, I really have to like carve out like separate. Yeah.
It needs to be together because otherwise you're like piecing it all like.
And force myself to do it. I'm not like a natural planner. If you've been here for a while, like I love myself, my rebel spirit. So, but it's highly important at the same time. So it gives me just like a date on my calendar to like deal with this and enjoy it.
And I feel like when what we're talking about is getting to this sort of end of the year, strategizing, planning, reviewing, assessing, reflecting, and you can't really do that effectively unless you give yourself some space to think. You got to be able to think narrowly at a couple topics, but also room to breathe out and think really broad on some topics. And I think that, yes, you need, if you can't travel somewhere and give yourself time away, 100%, you need to lock yourself away and give yourself room to think where you're not being distracted by things. So that way there's room for those ideas, goals, plans to expand.
Yeah, I do think it's important to separate yourself from the normal day to day. So, okay, maybe you're not going to go get a 2 to 3 day hotel room. Although if you can, I highly encourage it. But even just like a change of venue, like go to like a really fun, inspiring coffee shop where you can look out the window, have a coffee, and just be outside of your normal routine for 4 hours would be highly helpful
Yes.
with headphones on.
Yeah, like still give yourself the privacy you need and the space you need to think. And we have talked about this before. We've talked about this in episode 23, where we talked about end of year planning. And then we've talked about it in episode 32, where we did our 2020 year in review. Like, I think philosophically, Rebecca and I have always been in this alignment of, if you don't give yourself space to think, plan, assess, strategize, all of that, you'll never do it. Like, the whole year will go by and you won't have gotten anywhere closer to all of your goals.
And celebrate. So I've been doing this, I think, for 4 years now. And I've had a pretty, not rough, but like I have a document that I use, which we've used to build off of for this month's download. And it's a lot of it is like goal setting, looking forward, figuring out what you're going to change and keep, but also like take the time to really remember and celebrate and reflect. I've kind of had a rough couple months here in my business, and I always sort of feel like that at the end of the year. But then when I go back and actually I go month to month, I go through my calendar, all my appointments, and just write down everything that happened and remind myself, like, no, a lot of good stuff happened.
Totally. A lot
And
of
we just
amazing things.
focus on the terribleness of certain experiences.
Yes. But that's the way our business feels, is like, there's no time to stop and celebrate. There's no time to reflect on the joyful things, because we got to move on to the next problem or damages or whatever. And so this download is the Your Year in Review Workbook. And there's 2 main portions to it. The first is a self-guided business retreat. And we broke it up into the main tenets that we feel are the most powerful for our lives and our businesses. So this isn't just focused on business, but we've focused on the practical, the emotional, the financial, and the growth of ourselves within our business. And it's a great place to start. It's a multi-page business and personal sort of assessment and review and planning document.
And what I love about having done this now for a few years is it is actually part of my retreat is to go back and look at my old ones, because to see where my goals were and what I did do and how everything's kind of gotten bigger and like some surprising things. I don't know. It's just fun to just see, okay, progress has been made.
Yes.
Despite what it sometimes feels like.
It's like reading the diary entries from when you were a teenager and you're like, oh my God. Like, the teenage business me would be so freaking stoked to be watching the year 5 in business me. Like, year 1 me would be so freaking excited for where year 5 me is and that it's even possible. And I think we have to make space for that. And this document has some room for us to grow into that. We've definitely leveraged in more on financial components as our businesses have grown. And so part 2 of the Your Year in Review Workbook is a revenue planning calculator. So this is a document that you can go through and develop your revenue, expense, and your personal income goals for your business. And we've made it a very easy to use calculator. We've accounted for product markup. We've accounted for your expenses. And I think the main goal for this is to get you and your business in a space where you can figure out realistic numbers of where you want to be and how you're going to get there, and then give you an all-in-one place that you can go to track your progress and assess your growth or where you need to adjust your business strategies as you go through the year. We don't want you to just hit it once a year and then forget about it.
Yeah, it's kind of a reality check. Like, if you say, like, you put into it, like, okay, I want to make $100,000 a year as my personal income.
Mm-hmm.
So the calculator kind of takes you through, like, okay, what do you have to sell service fee wise? What do you have to sell product wise? And you can really kind of see how those numbers change and are kind of like, oh, that's a lot to do with just fees and based on my current setup. Or if you're only selling retail, it's a lot of 10 you gotta sell a lot of 10% off.
It's a big jump. But I am constantly surprised by hearing from other designers. Some of them are hotties who are saying, like, I just don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know how to get to the number. And the whole point of the revenue planning calculator is to show you the path to how you're going to get there, because then you can say, oh, this is how much revenue I have to generate from design fees or service fees, whatever you want to call them. This is how much I have to generate. How many projects is that? Like, how am I going to get that in this year? And I really stand behind this idea of once you break them down into achievable bites, it's a lot easier to imagine your month-to-month strategy of what you need to be doing, what you need to focus on.
Yeah. And also look at your expenses and how you can kind of play with those too.
Yes. So is this going to be quick? No. Designers, this is going to take time and planning. But if you want to get to where you want your business, where you want your life, where you want your finances, you're going to need to invest a little in order to get the reward.
But I think you could do it in a day.
I feel solid about
focused. Yeah.
I feel solid. It's like
I just know this.
I know this from all the years that my 13 years that I spent in banking and finance, like reporting and goal setting were the main strategies of getting to where we needed to be. It was just like, we already know that teams and people respond so much better to having really tangible ideas in front of them instead of just in general, I want to make more money. It's like, that's not good enough. Let's get really granular with it. Let's get specific. And our hope with this is that it feels like an approachable way to get to that information. Neither Rebecca and I or our accountants, none of us are financial planners, but these are the strategies we've used to grow, to move our businesses into their next phases, and to be able to do it more confidently. We can look at these figures and these numbers and know that it's achievable. And we want that for all of you.
Yes. As well as the emotional aspect of it, which, you know me, I always like to bring that in and just feel like you're tying a bow on this year one way or another. And you're wrapping it up and you're not ignoring what happened and what you're going to do next year.
Exactly. So your Year in Review Workbook is available to our certified and regulation hotties in their Patreon. It's free with their Patreon membership. It is also available on our resources page. If you go to hotyoungdesignersclub.com, you can download a copy of it. Food for thought again, just a reminder, if you're a Patreon subscriber, it's basically half the price that it would be if you're buying it independently through the resources page. So you get this download and other monthly downloads included with your regulation and certified hottie levels, including discount codes that you can use on past digital downloads.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so you have about 8 weeks to get your little 2-day retreat in. If you can manage it, book it now. Tell your partner if you need to that's your Christmas present. If that helps.
This is my me time, my business time now.
Yeah, take your business on vacation.
And enjoy the retreats, y'all.
I can't wait.
Booyah, the end of the year is here. All right, hotties, you've got it. Check out Your Year in Review Workbook, now available on our resources page and to our Patreon subscribers.
Thanks for listening to the Hot Young Designers Club podcast.
For more on what we talked about today, check out the show notes.
Your support helps us grow, so share with your design besties.
And subscribe and leave a review on Apple Podcasts.
Our conversations continue on Instagram.
And be sure to download our monthly resources on our website and our Patreon.